Everybody, welcome to my market wrap for Thursday, December 1st, 2016. This was a overall mainly negative market to say the least. The only index to break the record today was the Dow Jones Industrial Average, which closed at 19,191.93, up 68.35 points or 0.36%. That was the only one. The rest of the indices were pretty much either slightly negative or sharply negative based on which one you look at. You're seeing a sector rotation out of technology and into energy, into financial sector, and into industrials, which is why the Dow went up, since it's the Dow 30 Industrial Average, right? So I have a question for you out there, everybody. How do you feel everything's going? What does it look like? Let me get your opinion on this. Tell me what you think. It's today's question of the day. Continuing on to the other averages. The NASDAQ composite was down 72.57 points or 1.36% to 5251.11. The S&P 500 was down 7.73 points or 0.35% to 2191.08, and the small cap Russell 2000 was down 9.51 points or 0.72% to 1312.82. Looking on over to Asia, the Nikkei 225 index closed up 204.64 points or 1.12% to 18513.12. Over in Europe, in England, the FTSE 100 closed down 30.86 points to 6752.93 or 0.45%. Going on to the smaller indices. The NASDAQ 100 triple Qs closed down 76.72 points or 1.59% to 4734.10. The S&P Midcap 400 closed down 5.20 points or 0.32% to 1622.23. The S&P Small Cap 600 Index closed down 3.41 points or 0.42% to 808.60. The NYSE Composite Index closed down 8.26 points or 0.08% to 10,830.20. Looking at the XAU index, the gold and silver, down 0.55 points or 0.69% to 79.34. Looking at the SOX index, the semiconductor index, down 42.58 points or 4.84% to 836.89. And looking at the VIX index, the CBOE volatility index, up 0.84 points or 6.23% to 1416. Looking at market internals today, volume was still, I would say, either slightly heavy or normal to heavy. On the New York Stock Exchange, total volume 5.041 billion shares traded, of which 2.4 billion were advancing, 2.49 were declining, so it's basically flat, with unchanged volume of 86 million shares. Looking at the NASDAQ stock market, overall volume 2.245 billion shares traded, of which 545 million shares were advancing, a small blurry to read there, sorry, and 1.675 billion shares were declining, with 26 million shares unchanged. Looking at the NYSE market, formerly known as the AMEX, total share volume 129 million shares, of which 47 million were advancing, 73 million were declining, and 8 million were unchanged. Looking at the advanced decline line or market breadth, On the New York Stock Exchange, 1,156 issues were advancing, 1,883 were declining, and 82 were unchanged. Over on the NASDAQ, 1,089 issues were advancing, 1,750 were declining, and 143 issues were unchanged. Over at the NYSE market, 111 shares were advancing, 200 shares were declining, and 28 issues were unchanged. Looking at the currencies and commodities complex, going over the currencies first, these are all again versus the US dollar. The euro, 1.0659, sorry about that, up 0.0070. The yen, 114.06, down 0.40. My favorite, the English pound, 1.2591, up 0.0085. Looking at the Swiss franc, 1.0106, down 0.0068. Looking at the commodities futures complex, West Texas Intermediate crude, 50.92, up 1.48, or up 2.99%. Looking at Brent crude, 53.75, up 1.91, or 3.68%. Looking at gold, unchanged, 1173.90. Silver, 16.580, up 0.098 or 0.59%. Looking at equity index futures, Dow Jones futures contract up 54 points to 19,186 or 0.28%. Looking at the S&P 500 future, down 7.5 points to 2191.25 or down 0.35%. Looking at 10-year bonds, down 14/32 of a point, yield to maturity has now increased to 2.440%. So what you saw today is, again, continued sector shifts. People are taking their money out of technology, small caps, moving them into industrials, energy, finance, because you see yields in the bonds are starting to climb. So as interest rates start to climb, those kind of sectors will be more favorable as well. Price of oil is rising, oil exploration companies going up, miners, drillers, etc. And so you're seeing a sectoral shift starting to happen in the market. I do think this market may have some more room to run. However, I can see resistance starting to form up around 2215 on the S&P. So just watch that. If we hit a triple top, then it might be a negative connotation. And also watching the VIX climb as well is also a little unsettling. Although looking at the bulk of the market being down, it also tells you that there may be some stuff coming up on the horizon. Well, I appreciate your time tonight. I hope this was of use to all of you out there. I would encourage you to please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Also, if you can, please support me on Patreon, as I'm just starting out and I can get all the help I can get. If any of you have some comments, please leave them. I will get back to you as soon as I can. Everybody have a wonderful night. Thank you very much for listening, and goodbye.